So welcome to the Bildungswunder 2020. I'm really happy to have you here, Rebecka. It's so wonderful that we now together can talk and yeah, my English.
I love your English. Thank you, Christina. I feel so honored, super honored to be with you. And it's also like a very new context for me because I haven't been in touch at all with the German public. I have been in touch with Latin America and Scandinavia, but not Germany. So it feels super cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I developed your homepage and Rebecka about the unschooling Bornholm community because we moved to Denmark, and I read a little about you, and I was wow, a woman from Sweden, because I knew Sweden is the same as Germany, but I didn't know there were already people talking about in Sweden, and it's so important. And there was we were on a festival once about unschooling, and there was a person from Belgium, I don't know, somewhere there, and he said, you will see Germany will change everything because it's so hard there to unschool. And I think Germany and Sweden are really such an important topic there in this community.
Yeah, I think they're both very rigid and controlling countries. And I don't know Germany at all, but I really know that in Sweden, the way they think is very mainstream, but it's also very kind of easy to switch. So like when one little idea has gotten hold, it suddenly becomes the idea of everyone. Like for instance, with gay marriages, suddenly everyone was thinking it was the best idea ever. And it was just really like flicking on a switch. It was like going from no to yes very quickly. And so I think that, to me, why it's so important to be, like, even though I live in Mexico, to be in contact with Sweden and create a lot of content on self-directed education. It's because I know that if this idea gets hold in Sweden and it changes the law in Sweden, then it will change in Germany too.
Oh.
And it will change in Europe too. So to me, I'm feeling like, I don't know, like Joan of Arc or something. I'm on a mission. Yeah.
Oh, so nice picture. Yeah. You already told you're living in Mexico. You're not living in Sweden. You moved to Mexico 20 years ago. I think.
Yeah.
You didn't have kids.
Almost.
Yes.
No,
almost.
I didn't have kids at the time. No, I didn't want to have kids because living in Sweden, I was just like, no way, I don't want to have children and being forced to put them in a kindergarten when they're one. Like, I don't care about great maternity leave and paternity leave. If I have a kid, I want to be with my kid, and in Sweden, it's so hard to stay at home with your children. So I never wanted to have kids.
Wow.
I had to come to Mexico. I had to come all the way to Mexico to be like, it feels more free here. Let's have a baby.
Okay. And now you're having a son. He's 13, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's 14.
14. Oh, like my daughter. My
Yeah.
eldest daughter is 14.
Yeah.
And you are a former teacher? Or you were?
Yeah.
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 How did being a teacher lend you to this awakening in pedagogy?
Well, I would say it was actually, I became a teacher because I hated the school system so much.
Okay.
That I thought I could change it. I thought I could change it from within. And believe me, I tried. I tried really, really hard. But I am a person with very little patience. And so when I saw that it wasn't possible, and I was only one little tiny person inside the system, I felt that the system was crushing me instead of making me feel like, wow, powerful, I have an influence. So I didn't stay for very long. I made a difference for my students, I know that, but for the rest, nothing. So I decided to leave. And then when my son was born, I was already in Mexico, and in Mexico, the school system is so oppressive, and it is so awful. Like, if you think it is rigid in Germany, if I feel it's rigid in Sweden, it is nothing in comparison to Mexico. And I was just like,
Well,
I'm not going to offer this to my son. And so I've tried founding a couple of Waldorf schools. They're still functioning, but I'm no longer with them because I could see that my son required more freedom, more trust, more independence, more autonomy, and he wasn't thriving when he went to school. He wasn't. He was being crushed too.
okay. Did he go to kindergarten then, or did you start
Yeah,
his
like
school?
when he was in the first Waldorf inspired kindergarten, that was working really well for him. They were playing all the time. That was what kids want. He was playing, he was happy. But once he started first grade, it really didn't work for him. He has Asperger's syndrome too. We didn't know. We knew something was a bit odd, but it wasn't until he started first grade where we really were like, there's something here. I mean, he's not responding like other kids. And when we found out that he had Asperger's, it was like, okay. So we could start like working differently with him and supporting him very, very, very differently, and getting amazing results at home. But that school didn't have the capacity to give him what he needed. And having Asperger's, I think for him means being not so affected about what other people think of him. So it means that he has a lot of integrity. He doesn't do what I have been doing so much in my life,
Yeah.
like people pleasing. He doesn't do that. He's super caring. He's a very loving person, but he doesn't care what others think, and so he doesn't comply to a system. He says, this doesn't work for me. I don't want this. And he has a strong integrity, and even stronger now, because that is what I observe in self-directed kids, that they just get this amazing integrity. They they won't sell their souls to the devil, so
Yes.
to speak.
Yeah, that's a nice picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so can you tell us a little about your day with your son? So so many people, that's a question so many people
Yeah. Yeah, I
want to
I
know.
think that most people that ask me, they're like, so, like, what does a day look like? And I'm like,
Yeah.
because on one hand, no day is alike, and on the other hand, it's to me, it's like we're on a constant holiday. Like, of course, we have things that we need to do. Yeah, we need to do the dishes, and yes, we need to do the laundry, and yes, I need to work, and yeah, we need to walk the dogs. And so right now, he isn't walking the dogs in the morning because since he's a teenager, he needs to sleep a lot. And
Yeah.
he wakes up around 9, and 9 here in Mexico is already too warm for me to go out with the dogs. So I take them out now, but we do always a super walk in the evenings. And we have like these moments of where we're connecting, and when we're talking a lot, and where we're having, I would say, like, the biggest thing in our relationship is that we have so much time to just discuss things, discuss topics. What do you think about this? I don't know. What do you think? Like having really intense conversations, like teens love to have.
Yeah.
We don't hang out a lot with others, basically because we're both very introverted. Um, I am very picky with with whom I'm giving my time to, and so is my son. And unfortunately, where we live, I mean, it is paradise. We're living on the Pacific coast, and it's a surfer's paradise. We don't surf, but we love going down to the ocean and swim, and you know, but I don't really find my community here, and that's okay. He doesn't either. So both of us, we have our communities online. That's what is like our own space, our 2 dogs and our 6 cats. And how do you explain how it works? It's like, yeah, it's like being on holidays. And sometimes we connect and we get together. Sometimes we cook. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we sit and eat together. Right now, we're not going out to eat any longer because of this crazy virus thing. But that has also been a big part for us, like going away, going out. And I would say, like, there's nothing that I'm teaching my son um, by like by having this attitude of a teacher. I'm not like, no, let's do some math. Actually, he hasn't touched math in the 4.5 years that he's been unschooled. He hates it. But he's still learning math because it's impossible not to. so
Yeah.
so it's more, I would say it's more like he learns, he's learning so much all the time, and he's learning from what he's interested in. So one thing leads to another. So he started, for instance, with, he was watching the series Vikings on Netflix, and then he got pissed off when he realized that geographically they were messing up, like being, I mean, he is Swedish too, so he's been to Sweden. And when they were showing like nature from Sweden, and it looked perfectly well like a Norwegian fjord, he was like, that's not what it looks like. And so he started like questioning and being interested in runes and in Old Norse, like Icelandic. And from there, he's gone like really far into phonetics and linguistics and different alphabets. And I'm like, eh? Just
Yeah.
because you watched Vikings? So I think that what most people have trouble with is that they still are so schooled in their minds that they think in subjects. It's like you have to learn a little bit of chemistry and a little bit of biology and a little bit of this and that, and they don't realize that life isn't divided into topics, into different subjects like in
Yes.
school. Life is everything at the same time. But if you look at a kid through the eyes of like, what is your child learning right now? He's just playing, but in that game, what is he learning? Look at him, like observe him. Then suddenly you'll realize, even with small children, that they're learning physics, they're learning about biology, they're learning about chemistry because they're baking a cake with mama. It's like, but it's just our very rigid mindset that is kind of blocking the capacity to realize that our kid is learning. And I can say that what my child is learning from me is more through how I am, how I talk to him in order to resolve a conflict, what language I use, my attitude. He's learning that from me. He's learning from the context that I am a part of. And so for instance, he's super good in using nonviolent communication. I have never taught him how to use nonviolent communication. I have just used it with him. And so when he has something that is bothering him, he uses nonviolent communication with me without having a clue that he's doing just that. So that's our role as parents. For me, that's really like creating the context, realizing that we are a part of the context. And so if your child, for instance, wants to know something about sex, and you don't pick up on that, you feel uncomfortable and you just walk away, you just taught your child that we don't talk about this topic here. So it's super important for us adults to look at ourselves. And I think that unschooling, like for the kids, they're just learning. You don't need to worry. The problem is us if we don't work with ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Just perfect. I'm getting 2 questions. The first one
Yeah,
is,
sure.
do you have any strict rules at home? That's something there's this really 2 different ways. Some people say it's so important to have strict rules, and others say no, we don't have rules. We are swimming in our own. So how do you solve this topic?
Yeah, we don't have rules. I don't believe in rules. I don't
Yes.
believe in rules that are set by adults, because we adults have a need that we want to solve by trying to control the kids. I believe in talking to the child, and you can do that at any age, even when they're tiny. You can talk to them, and you can express. To me, it's like it all comes back into how you express yourself. And I think nonviolent communication is like the foremost tool to be able to say, for instance, like I say, we don't have a rule about washing the dishes, but I can say this. I can say, Theo, that's the name of my son. Theo, I have a lot of things to do right now, and my biggest need is really to feel that we're a team and that we support each other and that I can help you and you can help me. And I would really appreciate if you could wash your dishes. You don't have to wash my dishes, I take care of them. But if you could do yours, I would be super grateful. And he would be like, huh, of course, sure, I can do that. I don't like doing it. Is it okay, Mom, if I do one thing at a time? So maybe I wash one glass, and then after 15 minutes I'll go and wash a plate. I'm like, sure, I don't have a problem with that. But I need the sink to be empty when I'm cooking because I'm going to fill it up with more stuff. Okay. So it's a very different way of doing it. It's collaborating, me with him with me. How is he going to learn how to collaborate if I don't collaborate? How is he going to listen to me if I don't listen to him? And this is what I mean, like by being the context. I show him through doing it. It's like many people think that if you don't force kid to respect you, they will never respect you. But respect isn't something that is given to you. It's not something that you're entitled to. Respect comes when you respect the
Yes.
other one. Then it
Yes.
comes to you. So yeah.
Yeah. That's wonderful. We're living it here. I don't know the English word. I
But
think
it's so
it's
cool.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
fantastic. It's really like getting rid of the pyramidal structure that our entire society is built upon, that we don't like. We didn't like when we were kids,
yeah.
but we don't know how to do it differently. It's like we have no idea of how to get rid of that structure. And that is what deschooling is all about. That is when we're deschooling ourselves and questioning, why do we say those things? And honestly, Christina, I am not a perfect mom. Me
Yeah.
too, I
Me
fuck up.
neither.
I fuck up all the time, but
Yes.
but at least I have the insight and the self knowledge to say, what did you just say? Like just like a half a year ago or so, I remember Theo asked me to prepare him a smoothie. So I was like, yeah, sure, preparing him a smoothie because I was preparing one for me. And then I gave it to him and he sipped it and he made a face and put it down. And I was like, drink that thing. And he was like, what? And I'm like, did I just say that? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, God, I'm so sorry. That was not my intention. I don't know what happened. You don't have to drink it. If you didn't like it, just throw it out. It's okay. It's our programmings. They
Yeah.
mess with us, and they mess with us all the time.
But that's so wonderful. My 14-year-old daughter, she when I'm getting into a drama, she always comes to me and says it to me. She says, "Mama, you're getting a drama. That's not true what you're saying." Oh, okay.
Wow,
That she's so
that is
reflected.
so nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
she's so reflected.
Yeah,
And sometimes yeah,
that is
she
so
just knocks me down.
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my,
Yeah, but
yeah,
and she's
yeah, they do. They're so
great.
they're so wise, and they
Yes. Oh yes. It's such a gift being with them.
yeah
Um, my second question was, but you already did
yeah
started the deschooling. It's I think
yeah
we had this word very often in the summit right now, but
yeah
it's all about deschooling. And can you
yeah.
explain or give 3 points which are very important for deschooling for parents? Or other people.
Yeah. Oh God, 3 points. That's maybe a lot, but I think it's like
Or what comes to your
we
mind?
are so like we're so programmed by our own schooling, and not only by our own schooling, we're programmed by society that things have to be in a certain way, and it is so in our system. It's been so rooted in us. I could say we've been indoctrinated. We've been indoctrinated from our own schooling, and even from living by in society where the focus is on producing results, and you have to be a successful human being and blah blah blah. And then there's only one way to achieve this, and you have to study hard, and you have to get grades, and plus, like, if there's no external pressure, then you won't have the inner motivation to be able to learn anything, and you have to be serious. And all this is coming from the school system, where we were forced to go to school. We didn't particularly like it. Very few of us liked it. Most people that say, I love going to school, when I ask them why, they say, oh, because of recess. And I'm like, ah, okay. But that was it. And so, but it still programmed us. It was so boring. And so we believe that learning has to be boring because it was boring for us. So we're often not very capable of recognizing what it looks like when kids really learn by their own inner motivation. And so when they're having fun, for instance, we'll be like, oh, no, this isn't good, they're having too much fun, learning is serious business. So like we have a lot of like programmings that are really just making us hinder and stop our kids from really learning, because we believe so many things. And so deschooling is really the process of looking at those beliefs. It's about looking at the programmings that you're carrying with, questioning them, and start this inner work of questioning yourself. Why are you doing this? Why do you believe this is important? Could it be that you're wrong? Could you find examples of you being wrong? Like for instance, how many people do you know that are living perfectly healthy and great lives, but they haven't been to university? We all know them. How many people do you know that have been to university and have absolutely disastrous lives? Plenty, because they're unhappy, because they're doing things that they're not used to doing. Or used to, sorry, that they're doing things that they don't want to do. They have pushed themselves into that direction because they thought they had to. And like, it's really just going inside, looking at yourself and questioning yourself a lot, and observing your child and asking you if what you see in your child is really true, or if there might be another way of looking at what your child is going through. Like, you can look at your child as throwing a tantrum, or you can look at your child as having a strong will. You can look at your child being rebellious, or you can look at your child going, that kid has a lot of integrity. He or she really knows what he wants and how he wants it, and that's good.
Yeah.
But all these things are challenging for us because we didn't trust. We didn't trust ourselves. We haven't trusted ourselves ever because we weren't trusted as kids.
Yeah.
And so, like, deschooling is also really about learning how to trust the child. And that's so hard when no one trusted us, and we grew up learning we weren't trustworthy. And so how are we going to trust a child? That must be impossible. But it isn't. All this is deschooling, all of it. And people might think that it's not very important, but I swear, if you don't go through your deschooling process, you won't be able to unschool. If you don't if you think it's going to take like maybe a couple of months, you're wrong. You'll be having to do this the rest of your life. I've been doing it for 17 years, and I'm still doing it, and I'm still catching myself like, oh God, my programming.
Yeah.
And be kind to ourselves because it's hard. Yeah.
That's true. Thank you, Rebecka. This is so wonderful.
So thank you. I love sharing this stuff because people need to know. People need to know that there
Yes,
are other ways.
yes. And that's trust. You just told about trust, and that's so
Hmm.
important. What helped me was knowing other people already doing unschooling and not getting
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah, surviving it. So
yeah,
and not only surviving it, so it's a good way for the and what was really impressing for me was meeting young adults who weren't at school. That
yeah,
touched me so deeply the first
yeah.
time and every time I'm with them. And yeah, it's a real blessing.
Yeah, it is. And I think, like I got a lot of support from friends in the States that were unschooling and that had unschooled kids for maybe 20 years. That so helped me. But also, as you say, when I met young adults who had never been to school, and I realized that they were perfectly healthy, they were
Yeah,
functioning very well. Plus, I really liked them because they're authentic, they're connected
yeah,
to themselves, they're not trying to please anyone, they're just being their authentic selves. And how you can connect from heart to heart with someone who is really authentic and not just pretending, like so many adults are pretending to be happy, pretending to be successful, posting these marvelous things on Instagram, like woo, perfect lives, but they're not happy. And when you try to get to know them, there's just a barrier. There's like they're just hiding. And that's what I feel with people that have grown up in the unschooling environment. They get so connected to themselves and they get so much integrity from that. And God, I just love being with those humans because they don't judge. They're
yes,
so accepting. And
yes.
I have found a very open and non-judging community where people accept each other how they are, and I love that.
Oh yes, that's so important. Yeah. Ah, Rebecca, I could talk to you for hours.
I know. Go on.
Yes, let's do this again. So, but
Yeah.
for today, I think we had the important topics for the people
Yeah.
watching the summit. Um, I want to share your programs, your workshops. You're doing it online, mostly in Swedish and Spanish, but you told me you even start
Yeah.
something in English, or you think about.
Yeah, it started last year because I was invited to the Conscious Parenting Festival at Ängsbacka in Sweden, and everything was in English. And then suddenly there was this new door opening up, and I had never considered it because I have enough with Spanish and Latin America and Sweden. But at the same time, what I realized was that I thought that there was enough information in English from the States, but that information isn't resonating with Europeans. For some reason, there's some cultural differences
Mm.
that it's not connecting for the Europeans. And so I was like, fine, if people want me in English, I'll give it in English too.
Okay.
And so I have like one workshop that I was going to give in Denmark last weekend in English, but that was canceled due to the virus. And now I have another workshop. It's online and it's called Freedom to Learn, and it is really for unschooling families that want to get like the real basic stuff you need to know about unschooling, and in order to kickstart their deschooling process so that they can be the best support for their kids. Because we always think it's about the kids learning. The kids, we don't need to worry about them. They learn whether you think they are or not. But it's really about like learning you to unlearn unhealthy patterns and relearn a new way of looking at your child and being with your child.
Yes.
And so yeah, so that is an online workshop that I'm offering in May.
Yeah, perfect. We will put the link under the video so the people can click
Sure.
and find you.
Yeah.
And also they can find you on Facebook, I think. It's
They can find me on Facebook. They can on Facebook. I go by Rebecka Koritz simply because I have all the Spanish information with Rebecka, and then so I have a Spanish like Facebook page with Rebecka Koritz, and so
okay.
my personal page is Rebecka Koritz. And you, please befriend me. I think it's super cool to see the community grow,
Oh, yes.
and yeah. And I have a YouTube channel too, and on that YouTube channel I have a tiny playlist with videos in English as well. So mainly Spanish, some Swedish, and then now some English too.
Okay, super. And do you have a website? Which or
I
only social
do,
media?
but that one is in Swedish. It's in Swedish, and
Okay,
the only stuff in English is really like the link to Freedom to Learn.
okay.
That is in English, and then you'll find like, for instance, like comments. What have other participants said about me or about the workshop? Because I know it's like, and who is she? And it doesn't matter if in Latin America people are like, oh, it's her. I'm just an ordinary person, doing what I'm doing, but just for people to know, like, okay, she's giving good workshops, good.
Perfect. Okay, we share it downstairs, and
Thank you.
I thank you very
And
much.
take it. I mean, if honestly, like, if you want to take it, do it. Everyone that has taken it have given me like so many thumbs up. They are so happy and so grateful. And I think it is fascinating to be able to support parents to
Mm,
become like their best selves, like the best parents they can ever be for their kids, because the kids deserve it.
yeah,
And you can be a hero for your child, and that's amazing. So yeah,
yeah. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, thank you for your time. And I just feel this opportunity of getting a worldwide community of unschooling. I don't know if there's something
Yeah.
growing, if there's something right now.
Well, who knows? I think it's so interesting
I
to
never thought
see
about it.
how it is moving. No,
Yeah,
but it is thought provoking, because sometimes the language is a barrier.
yeah,
Sometimes, like, people don't feel as comfortable in English as in their own languages. And that is a shame, because that's also like our own schooling, thinking that we need to be perfect, we need to do it so well. But I find it quite liberating, actually. Like, for instance, I'm a Swedish native speaker, you're a German native speaker, and here we are conversing in English, and suddenly we're we're being able to use another language for this. And I think it's really connecting and very, very,
yeah,
very nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you a lot. Yeah, and to the listeners and watchers and people online, thank you for your time and listening to us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you, and yeah, just rock on. Trust your kids. That's our biggest challenge, and it's the biggest reward ever, I'd say, just to trust the kids.
yeah, that's it. Thank
So
you.
thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks.